What's interesting, and I said we would talk about it, is the Israeli involvement within the Wefpak group, including this guy. Take a look at this dude. Where is he at? There he is. Tal Goldstein. This guy is interesting. Tal Goldstein here, if you look under his name, head of strategy for the World Economic Forum. This dude was involved with physics and mathematics at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and he was a graduate of the elite IDF Talpiot program. Not sure how to pronounce that. And he's been involved with economics at the Tel Aviv University and whatnot. But he's also been a part of the Israel National Cyber Bureau, leading the formation of Israel's national cybersecurity strategy and devising policies on the various aspects of national cybersecurity. And as you can see, he's also spent 8 years as an officer in the military intelligence directorate as well. So we've got somebody who's got some serious firepower and knowledge when it comes to the cybersecurity of Israel. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because obviously he's heavily involved with the WEF. He appears to be one of the guys who directs the cyber side of the WEF. When we get into how much Russia is involved, we'll get to them in a minute. But when we get into how much Russia is involved in this WEF cybersecurity program, along with Israel, it makes me think that this might be the key to possibly shut down Israel's defenses, like the Iron Dome and David's Sling, when Ezekiel 38 comes rolling around. My idea, my theory is when Ezekiel 38 comes about, these systems are not going to work anymore. That's just my idea. I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen, but after looking into everything, it would make a whole lot of sense if these systems were all to go down, because your Ezekiel 38 is going to be a scenario where Israel, there's absolutely no possible way that Israel could defend itself, and it's going to be a display of God defending Israel and defeating the armies that come against her. And so if you have the entire defense network shut down in Israel, you're looking at a system where it's like, once God wipes everything out, it's the world is going to, the only way that you could answer that question is God stepped in. And so when you look at the connection of who's in the WEF and the clearance that he has for the cybersecurity, along with how much Russia is involved with this, this could be a key cog into shutting down Israel's systems. So whether Goldstein is directly involved, or this is just granting Russia access into it, we don't know how that would play out. I mean, that's something that we just don't know. It's an interesting angle to take in the fact of shutting down Israel's defensive systems, like Iron Dome, David Sling, their AI programs for defense. They've got a bunch of other systems as well that all run on networks and whatnot. If you were to shut that down, then it's going to definitely take an act of God to wipe out the enemies and defend Israel, which we know that's what's going to happen. So it's an interesting theory when you start seeing how much Israel and Russia are involved in this specific area with the WEF. So something to think about. Cyber Polygon is practically put on by Russia along with the WEF. I want to introduce you to the guy who basically runs the Cyber Polygon program with these organizations like the FS Isaac and the WEFPAC. Mikhail Mishustin. Now, I've brought this dude up before when we did the tearing down the curtain episode, where I basically showed how Russia is involved with the WEF. But this dude he's interesting. He's got an interesting background. But yeah, this is Mikhail Mishustin. He is the prime minister of the Russian Federation, and he was handpicked by Putin. We'll talk about that in a second. So we've got him. He's basically one of the head guys who leads this thing. But one of the big companies that sets it up that gets it going is Saber Bank. So Saber Bank, who is Russia's largest bank and financial institution, as well as Bizone, who was created by Saber Bank, is a cybersecurity company. So you've got the WEF, you got Mikhail Mishustin, you've got Saber Bank, and you've got Bizone. Those four entities are the ones who created Polygon, and they're the ones who lead them. A lot of Russian, right? 3 of the 4 are Russian. Other partners include Russia's TASS News Agency, NTV, who is a Russian broadcaster, Tinkoff Bank, who is Russian digital bank who uses AI, Mail.ru Group, which is Russia's largest internet business, MTS, a Russian telecommunications group, and countless other banks and corporations from all around the world, including Interpol, who is a member of the WEFPAC. All those Russian groups, all those Russian organizations and companies and whatnot, all help throw Polygon. So this idea of the WEF and Russia not working together is completely fabricated. It's completely false. That's the narrative that I continue to try and tell people that that's a lie. That narrative that Russia hates the West, and well, I'm sure for the most part they hate the West, but they hate the WEF and the elites and stuff. That's a lie. They're working with them. And WEF has basically partnered with Russia for anything to do with cyber. Everything to do with their cyber programs, everything to do with cybersecurity, cyber Polygon, creating the networks and the technology that puts this stuff together is all Russian. No joke. It's funded, designed, and created by Russia. So when you're talking about Russian hackers breaking in, you're basically talking about these are the people who created the system. They're not hacking in. They're just logging in. There's no other way to put it. These are the guys that are throwing it. It's Russian. Polygon is a Russian simulation with the WEF. That's what they do. So clearly you can see how intertwined Russia is involved with this. I mean, if you can't see it now, I don't know what else to tell you. But not only do we have the Prime Minister of the Russian Federation, that's Mikhail Mishustin, and countless Russian entities involved, but again, Saber Bank is also involved, and they are a state-controlled bank because the Russian government actually controls, is their largest shareholder. So it's funded by Russia, just to point it out. Now, Mishustin, this dude is interesting, was always involved with technology. He went and studied it in college. He bounced around from different tech companies and networking companies. I mean, his area is cyber stuff. His area is technology, networks, cyber. And he never showed any interest in politics. I mean, he had no interest in politics. He then got involved as the head of the Federal Taxation Service of the Russian Federation before being appointed prime minister by a Putin executive order in 2020. That was the same year that the first Cyber Polygon event took place. So I don't believe in coincidence, guys. I told you, I don't believe in coinkydinks. I don't believe in coincidences. All this stuff happens for a reason. People are specifically put in places. We understand Uncle Klaus has said that their goal is to penetrate every cabinet of every government, which they already have. And so when you look at the fact of you've got a tech head here who never showed any interest in politics, who all of a sudden was appointed through an executive order by Putin to be prime minister the same year that Cyber Polygon was getting thrown on. All I can sit there and tell you is that dude was hand selected by somebody at the WEF, Klaus or somebody above him, we don't know, who handed it down to Putin because we know Putin is involved with the WEF as well. And that was their guy to run this. Everything just lined up perfectly, in order, exactly on time, like they planned it. And thus, Cyber Polygon got its leader, Mikhail Mishustin. During the 2020 simulation, Mishustin explained that Russia's post-coup recovery, this is his quote, will be based on increasing digitalization of the economy and government. So he's talking about after the 2020 event, the goal is to digitalize the economy and the government. Again, problem, reaction, solution. The whole point of 2020 was to test systems and get things ready to go for the new digital era. This is your fourth industrial revolution. And he said it. I mean, that's his quote at 2020 during the Cyber Polygon. He says, Russia's post-coup recovery will be based on increasing digitalization of the economy and governments. And so another key cog of this Russia-WEF alliance for this digitalization, this fourth industrial revolution, and the cyber events to bring all of this in comes into place. Mikhail Mishustin is a huge player in getting this going. Russia is a huge player in getting the beast system online. That is what they're there for. That's what they're there for, and that's what they're working on. Hopefully you're seeing that connection now with the WEF and Russia, how important that these two actually are together to do this. But another person involved in the Russia-WEF alliance and helping coordinate Cyber Polygon is a guy by the name of Herman Greff. Now, Herman Greff here, if I can find it, Herman Greff sat upon the WEF Board of Trustees while also being Saberbank's CEO. That state-controlled bank who basically funded Cyber Polygon, well, he was the CEO of it, or he is the CEO of it, while he sat on the WEF Board of Trustees. It's amazing how that works, isn't it? I had to go into the Wayback Machine to get these pictures. But if we take a look at his WEF profile, you can see some interesting stuff in his background there. Ministry of State Property of Russia, Minister of the Economic Development of Russia, CEO and Chairman of the Executive Board, Saber Bank, as well as member of the Board of Trustees, World Economic Forum. You can definitely see the influence of Russia in the WEF. It's right there for everybody to see. I don't know why I just went Elvis Presley. Thank you very much. We still got a lot to talk about, so hang with me. Anyways, but yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to show with that is the CEO of Saber Bank, who funded Cyber Polygon, also sat on the Board of Trustees for the WEF. Now he's not on the board anymore. That doesn't mean much. It really, because people are always coming and going from that board. If you go back literally 2 years, you'll find half of that board is missing and a whole load of other people are on there. So people are always going in and out, but you can see that connection there. But it's also important to note, and this is where I really, really make the case of how involved Russia is with the WEF cyber stuff right here. October 2021, a deal was made between Russia and the WEF. And that would be Russia joins Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution Network. This is where Russia's basically taking control of the network, the technology, and cyber stuff for the Fourth Industrial Revolution. So this is October 13th of October 2021. Russian Federation and the World Economic Forum announced the Center of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, Russia. The center is an autonomous, non-for-profit organization hosted by ANO Digital Economy. They play a big part in this as well. AI and the Internet of Things are key areas of focus for the new center. If you guys don't know, Russia is huge on AI, tech, and Internet of Things networking. I mean, that's one of their main focuses, and I mean, they're huge on it. But yeah, you can see right there, Russia will take a leading role in shaping the trajectory of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Leaders of the Russian Federation and the WEF announced for that. If we just take a look at some of this stuff, part of the forum's global network, the new center will bring together leading businesses, policymakers, and members of civil society to co-design and pilot innovative approaches to technology governance. You also see right there, government procurement of artificial intelligence and accelerated responsible blockchain deployment across the global supply chain. I made a point of this in the Tearing Down the Curtain episode. Something that came from the Ukraine system was a new blockchain-centered supply chain network. People don't realize that when we had all the supply chain issues, there was like Turkey and Russia and Ukraine and Europe and stuff. There's all that mismatch of issues with supply chains and whatnot. Russia seemed to be blocking things from going and whatnot. Basically, they tore down the old system and introduced Russia's new blockchain supply chain system. That's what that was involved with. You can see that was one of the main goals that they were trying to accomplish with this. The Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution Russia is hosted by ANO Digital Economy, there it is, in Moscow, so it's another Russian company. It will work across the global network to maximize the benefits of technologies such as AI and the Internet of Things. So again, that's their area. President of the WEF, Berg Brende or whatever, and the Deputy Prime Minister of Russia, Dmitry, not even going to try it. Don't even, not happening, guys. On behalf of the Russian government, signed into the agreement on Moscow. Just a couple other things I want to point out. The Deputy Prime Minister there, he says there are plans of launching pilot projects on legal protocols, AI, and Internet of Things technology with the forum at the center. The first projects will be launched before the end of this year. That was in 2021. And will include self-driving cars, drones, medicine, and data processing. Russia has been actively implementing AI technologies over the past few years. Today, there are more than 800 such solutions, and some of them are already visible on the international markets. It's already in there. In general, cooperation with the forum will be carried out in various areas such as data policy, smart cities, export support, and promotion of Russia IT technologies in foreign markets. Russia is one of the leaders in getting all of this stuff online. They fund it. They've partnered with the WEF. They lead Cyber Polygon. And they're getting this stuff all involved now. Their stuff is coming online now. And so, like I said, when you're talking about Russian hacker groups, they're not hacking in, they're logging in. It's their systems, it's their networks. That's something that they've been working on. What we're seeing is a global effort to demolish the current digital system to establish a new one that will introduce systems that align with the Antichrist beast system. They're creating the system so when the Antichrist steps out, he just flips the switch and turns it on. CBDC, online biometric verification, biometric digital ID, AI-led finance, supply chains and surveillance, Internet of Things, global connectivity, and more is all being headed up by the WEF and Russia. It's all being headed up by the WEF and Russia.